final guest tonight is the Scottish lad who became a big Hollywood star. Big and busy. He's just finished the last Star Wars movie and his 2 more films on release. The contrast in the two demonstrates his range and his versatility as an actor. One is a dark and erotic film called Young Adam. The other is a frothy, light-hearted confection like they used to make with Rock Hudson and Doris Day. It's called Down with Love.
This is Barbara Novak.
This is Catcher Block.
Catcher Block. Catcher Block.
No magazine?
Oh, yes, of course. What can I do for you, Mr. Block?
I think it's what I can do for you, Miss Novak. I'd like to invite you to lunch so we can discuss your book.
Well, that sounds very nice, but I'll have to check my schedule to see when I'm available.
Well, we've already ordered. Can you be in the mahogany room in 10 minutes?
I'm afraid that will be impossible, Mr. Block.
Well, some other time, then.
Right. I'll see you in 15.
Welcome, please, Ewan McGregor. Down with Love, a romp, a romantic romp.
Yes, exactly, yeah. It was kind of like, I was so familiar with all those films. I don't really know why. I wasn't around when they were made, but
no, I think
it's from the, from like BBC Two matinees and the weekends. You know, I always used to watch those as a kid, and I'd be much happier watching old movies than watching children's television. So I was familiar with them all, you know.
The extraordinary thing about you now, of course, is because so basically the clout that Star Wars has given you, because, I mean, your life changed in that moment in time, didn't it? That you can now move between Hollywood and the kind of movies that you made your name on, like Trainspotting.
Yeah.
And Young Adam, the film that you've that's currently out, that you're starring, could not be more different than that frothy romp. I mean, it's a very dark movie. It's an erotic movie. It's a very sort of sexy and mysterious movie.
But we're good at that, you know, in this country.
We're
dark, edgy people. Look at this lot.
It's a story about a ruthless young man who ends up in a coal barge, working there living with a family.
Yeah.
And it's about the relationship he has, particularly with the women who drift in and out of his life. And he's a totally immoral character. And at the heart of it, too, there's a murder mystery as well. In this sequence we're going to see here, you fished a body out of a river. And you're telling them your version of how you think this girl came to be in the river. Let's look at it now.
I think she went to a bridge fully dressed and stood there breathing the warm night air. And she took off her jacket and folded it neatly on the ground. And then she unbuttoned her blouse. And then undid her brassiere. Let it drop down on top of the other clothes. And she'd unbutton her skirt and let it slip down over her hips. And then she'd unroll her stockings and hold them out so that they blew in the breeze like pennants before she let them float off into the night. She'd shiver and ask herself if she really wanted to go through with this. And she'd answer that question by kicking her clothes into the river. And hurriedly now she'd take off her garter and her knickers. And there she'd be, standing in her petticoat, thinking about whatever it was that brought her to this. And then with her petticoat billowing around her, she'd drop into the water like a rose and float there for a moment and be gone.
It's very sexy.
Yes.
The film. There's lots of.
There's a lot of sex in it.
We have a lot of good, sort of explicit sex in a sense. Yes.
You want to show that one?
It's Emily Mortimer actually, and it's a scene where she comes back and you've been writing and you've made a bowl of custard. Yeah. And then you put the custard all over and tomato sauce.
Yes. There's all kinds of things go on, poor Emily, but it was quite. Oh, no, really. I mean, there's a bag of sugar, there was a bottle of ink, there was brown sauce and red sauce and a bowl of custard. But it's just a lovely scene. I mean, it's a very important scene. This scene, which is now infamously called the custard scene, It starts off where she comes in from the rain, she's very wet, and she undresses and dries herself. And we have a really normal argument. I'm obviously, I'm supposed to be a writer, and I haven't been able to write anything all day. So we have an argument about she's been out earning the bread and putting food on our table, and what have I done? I said, well, I made a bowl of custard. And she says, why did you make a bowl of custard? I said, well, I thought it was a good idea, so I made some. And I say that she's going to eat it, and she says, by this time she's naked, and she says, I'm not going to eat it. You know what you can do with it. And I say, I know what I'm going to do with it. And I pour it all over her. And then I take a stick out the fireplace and beat her on her bottom. And then pour all this stuff all over her. And then firmly make love to her from... It's a brilliant scene. And...
Will you go and see it?
But it really is. It really is a good scene because when the scene ends, I mean, it's really ambiguous. It could almost seem like a rape. It's not really as clear until a scene later. I come back into the flat. I've left. I come back in and I crawl into bed, and she cuddles into me, and I say, "Oh, Kathy," and then you suddenly understand that this has been allowed. It's that their relationship is deep enough to allow this kind of sexual action to go on. Yeah. So it's quite an important scene. And
but is there any embarrassment as an actor doing that?
No.
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 Is it not?
No. No, I don't think so. I mean, there have been, obviously, there's embarrassing moments in the long-distant past, but...
Have there?
Yes.
Well, you got overexcited, perhaps.
I did once, yes. I'm only human. I've got blood in my veins and stuff like that. But it was a BBC drama, The Scarlet and the Black, Le Rouge et Noir. And I was playing this young chap who was having his first sexual experience. And it might have been my first... Oh, no, it wasn't. I was going to say on screen, but I don't think it was. That was another thing.
It's a strange job you've got in it.
It is, but listen, you know, they become. I mean, especially in Young Adam, there's four. My character sleeps with 4 different women through the film, and they're a way of telling the story, like the music was in Moulin Rouge. We used the music to further the story, and so is the sex in Young Adam. It's not gratuitous. It's all quite different from the last sex scene, and it tells us something about Joe and the woman he's with at that moment, and. It's a device in that way, you know, and you deal with it very carefully. I mean, it's not frivolous and all sexy on set because there's people standing around filming it, and it's quite it's a very difficult thing to get right, you know.
Yeah,
you have to work quite hard at that.
Did you? I mean, when you signed up to be a movie star, I mean,